right, so this is going to be another movie review. Take two. Just did this, and my speaker was plugged in. Couldn't hear a word I was saying. This one's called Fear in the Night, 1947. Giving it 5 out of 5 stars. I love this flick. I love the movie poster. I can't read it. The red letters are too small. Fear in the Night is the U.S. 1947 film noir crime film directed by Maxwell Shane, starring Paul Kelley and DeForest Kelley in his film debut. Later on played Bones McCoy in Star Trek. It is based on the Cornell Woolrich story And So to Death, retitled Nightmare in 1943. Woolrich is credited under pen name William Irish. The film was remade by the same director in 1956 with the title Nightmare, this time starring Edward G. Robinson playing the cop and Kevin McCarthy. I've got to see Nightmare. I'm going to find it, watch it, and review it when I'm like 90 years old. Bank teller Vince Grayson, played by Bones, dreams that he stabs a man in an octagonal room full of mirrors. Bones locks the body in a closet. And this is the start of the movie, and we already have a murder. This movie doesn't waste any time. When he wakes up, he discovers marks on his throat, a strange key and a button in his pocket, and blood on his cuff. Cliff Hurley, played by Paul Kelley, his police officer brother-in-law, tries to convince him it was all just a dream. A few days later, while trying to find cover from the rain, the pair finds themselves taking shelter in the strange house from Vince's dream, which is owned by a Mr. and Mrs. Belknap. They discovered that the police found 2 bodies at the house, one in the mirrored room and one run over in the driveway. Mrs. Belknap, who was run over by a car, gave the police a description matching Vince before she died. All right. Production company Pine Thomas Productions, distributed by Paramount Pictures, release date April 18, 1947, in the U.S., running time 72 minutes, country United States, language English, budget either $128,000 or $200,000. Depending on which article you look at. Los Angeles Times or Chicago Daily Tribune. Los Angeles Times is dated December 13th, 1946, which is probably why IMDb shows 1946 instead of 1947. I'm guessing that this was shot in 1946. And, of course, it's public domain. I posted the link to the free movie on YouTube. The print is in very bad shape. The sound is terrible. At first, that's why I hooked up my speaker. At first, Vince is hopeful that he is innocent because he does not know how to drive, but he recognizes the victims from his dream. Overcome with remorse, Vince attempts suicide. He's looking at the razor blades, and he says, "Now I'll jump out the window." From a 20-story hotel. No, it's a 10-story. It's a 9-story hotel. The detective Cliff just grabs him from the window and tackles him in the hotel room. At that point, Cliff is convinced that Bones did not murder, because why would he want to jump out the window if he was a murderer? The detective uncovers clues that point to an evil hypnotist, Robert M. Keene, who just happens to poke his nose in the hotel room in the middle of the night, manipulating Vince. They realize that the hypnotist is actually Mr. Belknap in disguise. He's wearing a mustache and some glasses. He looks like Groucho Marx Halloween costume. And they try to trap Mr. Belknap by pretending that Vince wants hush money. Belknap puts Vince under hypnosis. Belknap tries to get Vince to drown himself. Cliff rescues Vince from the lake. Don't ask me how. He found out that Vince was drowning. And Mr. Belknap is killed in a car accident, and he is trying to evade the police. So, pretty cool flick. The film's original title was Nightmare. It was shot in 10 days. It is also known as Dead of the Night. Nice little low-budget film noir. Psychological terror. This is my favorite genre here. No, actually, my favorite genre is dystopian. End of the world type stuff, but my favorite movie is the psychological terror called Seconds. That's my favorite movie. When the film was released, the film critic for the New York Times panned the film, writing Fear in the Night, a minor shocker, which opened at the Rialto yesterday, is just as ridiculous as any that comes in this line. It is not only silly, but rather dull. DeForest Kelley Bones is dopey as the fall guy, and Paul Kelley is brisk as his detective friend. More recently, film critic Dennis Schwartz was more positive. Dennis Schwartz liked the film, writing an excellent low-budget psychological thriller directed and written by Maxwell Shane that is based on the story Nightmare by Cornell Woolrich. Cinematographer Greenhalgh's shadowy black and white photography gives it a film noir look. That taut pulp story, dreamy atmospheric settings, and brooding mood throughout all serve the film well. Couldn't have said it better myself. The crisp acting was just right. DeForest Kelley Bones, in his debut performance, does a fine job as the innocent victim. This is like watching Alfred Hitchcock movie on acid. This one. Fear in the Night. 112 minutes. 47 or 1946. Take your pick. It's a pretty decent 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb. 1,900 ratings. A man dreams he committed murder. Then the man begins to suspect it was real. All right, we'll get to the featured review in a minute. More like this. Nightmare. Please Murder Me. Woman on the Run and Fear in the Night. All four of those I'm going to look up as soon as I get done with this review. The film marked Maxwell Shane's directorial debut and the feature film debut of DeForest Kelley, 1920 to 1999. A prolific character actor in both motion pictures and television, who is best known for his role as Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy on the television series Star Trek and its subsequent feature film adoptions. When Cliff runs out of the hotel onto the sidewalk, Cliff looks up to see Vince about to jump from the window. The sidewalk is wet, having just rained, but when he quickly runs back into the hotel to save Vince, it's dry. Here's a quote from Vince Grayson: "I've got an honest man's conscience in a murderer's body." Author Cornell Woolrich is billed as William Irish, one of his regular magazine pseudonyms. This was featured in Carolina, 2003. Release date April 10th, 1947 in the U.S. Country of origin U.S. Official site, streaming on Feature Film YouTube channel. Language English, also known as "And Those Scared to Death." Filming location, 1203 West 7th Street, Los Angeles, California, USA, also known as the Commodore Hotel. Production company Pine Thomas Productions. Run time 1 hour 12 minutes. And of course, it's in glorious black and white. Aspect ratio 1.37 to 1. And here's the storyline. From Rod Crawford, puffiness at u.washington.edu. Bank teller Vince Grayson wakes from a nightmare in which he and an unknown woman murdered a man in a strange mirrored room. Only a dream, but Vince finds that he has special physical objects and bruises from his dream. His cop brother-in-law dismisses his story until the family on a picnic takes shelter from a thunderstorm in a deserted mansion containing that same mirrored room. Is doom closing in on Vince? Sure seems like it. Vince can't have his girlfriend. He's suicidal. And he keeps having nightmares. This movie is very dark and nightmarish. My kind of flick. All right, here's a less flattering review from Bob Lipton. The ubiquitous Bob Lipton. This one's dated February 28, 2019. Bob Lipton is only giving it a 6 out of 10. What is wrong with these people? Well, it's closer to the average on IMDb, I guess. I Dreamt I Killed in Mirrored Halls is the title of the IMDb review from Bob Lipton, dated February 28, 2019. DeForest Kelley has a nightmare in which he kills the man. He can't go to work, so he goes driving with his sister and his girlfriend and his brother-in-law, Paul Kelley, to the house in which he dreamt the murderer. It's a film noir from a story by Cornell Woolrich, so you know up front that it's going to be overwrought. It's also Kelley's first feature, and screenwriter Maxwell Shane's debut as director. Given the poor condition of the copy I looked at, tell me about it. Plenty of hiss on the audio track, as well as looking as if it was made from a 16 millimeter TV print. This movie needs some serious restoration. I was not able to evaluate cinematographer Jack Greenhall's visuals. So important for a movie with extensive dream sequences. So the dream sequences are in such poor sound quality that it sort of adds to the surrealism of this movie. I think it actually enhances the movie. Even with those handicaps, I was able to see the basic competence of this Pine Thomas production. There's little that's fancy about the production, but the ripeness of the source material, the solid actors, Anne Duran has a solid role. An old DeMille hand, Julia Fay, an uncredited bit, make this an agreeably disagreeable noir. So there's Bob Lipton's review. This movie is amazing. I want all film noirs to be like this. All right. Let's go down the list, shall we? Going down the pike. Number 1 is Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny, 1972. But before that, I'm going to check out another episode of Footprints of God with Stephen Ray. We'll get into the Moses stuff. So I probably won't get to Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny till Saturday. Then Fire Down Below in 1997. We're looking at Monday, possibly, or later next week, possibly Friday. Fire Down Below. And then number 7, we're looking at 2 weeks from Monday. 2 weeks from today, sorry. Fire, number 17, 1932. Looks like it's going to be 2 weeks from today. So those are the next 3 coming down the pike. I told you that Footprints of God with Stephen K. Ray was going to slow me down. And boy, is it going to slow me down during the next 2 weeks. But hopefully I can get a few more episodes under my belt. And instead of 17 more to go, I'll have like 15 more. Anyways, cool. We'll slowly go down the film series Footprints of God with Stephen Ray, which is 2014, not 2020. I had to fix the date after I replayed the Abraham, the first Abraham one. So I guess this started in 2014. I had to correct my date the other day on my video. There we go. So, yeah, I'm in financial hell right now. Got 0 savings. I maxed out my credit card. And I've got very little money in my checking account. Not nearly enough to pay off my credit card. I have to pay it down on my next paycheck in a couple weeks. And I'll just keep maxing it out every 2 weeks. I don't know what to do. I'm waiting for my big bonus. My attorney's taking a sweet time getting money from the insurance company. I know the owners aren't going to pay up. They haven't been able to come up with a global settlement for a good long time now. A decent global settlement that's worth my while. Not this $100,000 stuff. Anyways, I got some new allergy medication. It was only $5 at the Safeway pharmacy. And yeah, we'll see how much money I have to pay down my credit card. I got to figure on some some regular expenses coming out of my checking account during the next couple weeks. So wish me luck on that later.